Alright everybody, welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be tearing down the old girl. I know we're doing the electric conversion, so we're not going to be using this motor, but I have a feeling, just like yourself, I'm really curious to see what the inside of this thing looks like, especially because we get zero movement. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is take off the pressure plate, and we'll take a look at the flywheel, and in between there is the clutch disc with the friction plate on there. And we're going to take a look at that, and that kind of describes how well the other owners took care of it. I'm not too worried about all these bolts and stuff. If we lose a couple, we're not using it again. So, and if you watch here, you'll see all the fingers inside the pressure plate here start to lift. Now, typically when you put one on, you'd have a certain order you put them in, but since we're taking it off, it's not that big of a deal. Probably should have started at the bottom, but that's okay. I think that's it. Oh, that baby was on there. Alright. So you can see the little spots on it from just sitting for so long because they match up with, we'll look at that in a second. You can see where they match up, but just from sitting and it's sticking together, that's why it looks so bad. All the fingers are there, that's a good sign. And it's got some movement, so. I mean, it doesn't look too old. I think someone's replaced this before. I feel like it looked a lot worse than this. And here's that friction plate I was telling you about. There's like nothing left on that. I mean, just somebody wore this to all hell. I mean, it's got all the springs. None of the springs are broken. That's good. One's really shiny. It's odd. So, yeah, this is really strange because in the car the clutch felt really good. When you hit the pedal, you could really feel it. But that's of course just pushing on the plate, which means that the tension's good, but the plate is just, as you can see, just complete garbage. So we're going to set this winner along with her bolts here to the side, and we're going to keep on going. The flywheel, if we move on to that. Oops, dropping parts all over the place. So we move on to the flywheel. It's got that same wear pattern on it, but it's got all the teeth all the way around. That's good. It's got little guide pins. It's good. And you can tell it's been sitting in the same position for a long time because got debris and crap sitting in the same spot. So it's look like 13s. So I'm going to take out the flywheel here. Now this I will take off in order because we may end up being able to sell this to someone else who will get it resurfaced. You can tell the threads look good, nice and clean. Looks like someone put some anti-seize on it. That's what that gray is. So someone's definitely been in here. Because these are coming out way too easy. Of course, I was going to say that too soon before the last one, right? Little spacer. Comes right off. That actually doesn't look too bad. Like I said, it's got all the teeth. Yeah, a good resurfacing, and that'll be good as new. So we're going to set this one aside. Thank you to whoever put anti-seize on this. Set this over here behind you guys. Then we can look here at the rear main seal and see all the buildup on here. It's been sitting for a long time. Got my trusty flathead here. I mean, the seal looks, I don't know, it's hard to tell. There's so much oil and grease all over this thing. But, I mean, looks like old oil to me. This is yummy. Look at that. All right, that's the good stuff. But in all fairness, that stuff keeps it from rusting, right? So I guess I can't be too upset about that. So, freezer plugs there. Guide pins are here. I don't know. This rear wing seal looks okay to me. I mean, like I'm no pro, but it looks okay to me. I mean, nice and smooth. No gouges in it here. All right, looks good to me. So let's flip her around. We'll go here to the front. So this is the centrifugal oil filter. I mentioned it a few episodes ago, how the oil is separated through this. Comes through, the oil is flung to the sides, all the debris sticks, and then the oil over time will start to drip to the bottom. And that's how it filters the oil. That's typically what you'd see in big machinery, big diesels, stuff like that. So when I first was looking into this thing, I was like, wow, that's really odd, it's different. So we'll see if we can get it to do the old pop off here. Give a little bit of persuasion here. Grab a little bit of leverage. Gasket's nice and crusty. Who knows if anybody's ever opened this thing. I guess it helps if I pry from the right part, right? Alright. Ignore me. I swear I kind of know what I'm doing. Just in case any falls out here. I think this goes to prove that I'm no pro. So we're learning on this together, so. Yummy. Okay, so popping this sucker off, it's dripping, and there's like no viscosity left in this. It's just so watery, you know what I mean? It's got some water in it, but that's only because if you watch the power washing video, that's why it's got water in it. Let me bring this here closer to you. So, when we bring this closer, kind of see how this, it's hard to catch on the camera. Just kind of jiggles like water, you know? There's no, yeah, I guess viscosity is the best way to call it. I mean, it's not thick. It doesn't move a lot, but you can see on the edge. Let me see if I can get a good side here. So you can see on the edge all the debris stuck on the sides, and that's actually how the oil filter works. As the oil comes through this main hole, it comes out and it's flung to the sides. You can see it on here that it's all caked to the side. And then same on this cap here. Some it's a little thicker than others, but when you drop the oil, the cover off of it, it all cleans through it. So the gasket still looks good. Of course, hard as a rock, but that's okay. It held. Didn't leak out of there. So it's a little bit of a mess. Let me clean this up. Get the counter wiped up again. And then we'll come back. Alright, so I got a little more of this cleaned up. Got this cleaned up here. it is really caked on. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time someone really cleaned this. Now that it's cleaned out, you might be able to see a little better. But you see how it's all caked on the side here. Get a little rag and I'll show you. So the way you clean this, as you can see it's all black on the side here, is you just take it in here and you wipe it clean like that. And that's how you clean it out. I mean, I'm sure you could put this in a chemical bath and it would separate all that, loosen it all up. Of course, here in the old garage we don't have that. So, I'm thinking some brake clean. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good idea. I don't know why not. Brake clean solves every other problem we have. So, we'll probably use that. But that's for later because we, like I said, are not going to be using this motor. But it's just good because I'm sure you're curious just like I am to see what's really in here. So we've got, it's a little sludgy. So we've got, I mean, golly, look at that. Alright, so we have got the cover off. Now we kind of know what we're looking at. We're going to take off the timing cover. But before we do that, we're going to have to take off this big nut here in the front. It's got a locking washer on it where it's locked to the side here. Probably not the right way you do it, but you know, it's okay. Trying to get this backed off. This way we can get the flathead in between the gap here. So I don't typically like to go all the way flat because you risk it snapping off, especially with a washer that's 50 years old. So we're gonna should do it. See if we can get it backed off enough to where we can just get it to spin for us with minimal problems. So let's take a look and see what size that can be. All right. So 1 1/4. Don't know the metric conversion, but use Google. All right, so we got it loose. So we can start bringing it off. I just took that rubber mallet, changed the angle a little bit, came right off. So, and we didn't destroy it either, so that's good. Yeah, I feel like someone's been in here before. I'm finding a lot of anti-seize, and I don't think that's quite what the factory did, so we'll find out. Oh, okay. So here's the bottom half of that filter. You're gonna see how where I've wiped some and where it's dirty. You can see it caked on, so if you're going into the flathead and kind of pop it up, wipe it off, be the best way to clean it. Looks okay. I forgot to mention on this one, the front cover, there's actually a timing mark. That's what this little thing is here. That's your timing mark. Just for future reference. Man, this stuff is gross. Alright. So now we can get to the timing cover. For you GM folks, this kind of looks like a timing chain cover, which pretty close it is. This looks like pins. All right. Get all these washers. I'm the worst at putting them back on, so I just try to keep them on them. Like I said before, I always like to keep the pieces as attached as possible. That way I always put them on a shelf, still mostly assembled, and the such. Get them all? Guide pin. Looks like we got them all. Okay, so now we're going to pop off this cover, but do a little bit of preventative cleaning here. So from the looks of it, you can see where the oil pan cover is. It's all cracked and dried out. Probably the original one, who knows. Get this baby off. Getting some movement. Oh, almost forgot. There's one right here, part of the oil pan that attaches. So you've got to get that off to go. We're going to keep this one separate. You can see it's got the squared off washer. That way it fits back in a certain position. Alright, now we should be able to go. Maybe. Unless I'm forgetting another one. No, I am forgetting another one. There's one right here. So there's going to be one on each side. Make sure we keep those separated because they go with the oil pan when we get to that point. Now I think that's it. So it should all of a sudden come off. Put these on there. Break it up a little bit, I guess. There it goes. As my screwdriver lands in the trash. Alright, so we're going to find the timing chain behind here. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of slack, but lucky for us we're not using this engine, so let's take a look. Alright. So the back of the timing cover looks good. Usual oil coverage. It's a lot of play. Oh, look at that. Alright. Not perfect. I don't know what the spec is on that. I'd have to look in the book. But I have a feeling that that's not quite spec. So, I think the best thing to do now is to take off this top sprocket, and then take the chain off. Then we'll flip her over and take out the oil pan, look at the bottom, and we can see if we can figure out why this still isn't moving. Who knows? So let me take that off, just the bolt. It's got that same lock washer on there. I'll slip this off, pretty straightforward, so I'm going to save you the view of that. Then I'll flip it over, get it prepped for that, and then we'll come back. We gave it the old flip, and of course, it was a mess. So, just laid down some towels. I ran out of drip pans. They're all under the other project stuff. So, we've already got out two, which are holding the front timing cover there. I'm going to take out the rest of them, and then we'll pop it off. So we've got the bolts all out, all definitely covered in grease. I mean, it's still hard to tell where this leak is coming from. I mean, the pan seal is so rock hard that there's no give to it anymore. So we're about to pop this off. I haven't seen underneath here, so we're going to do this together. Hopefully we'll find out why we're stuck. So here we go. There it goes. You just hear that hard seal just giving up. And there it goes. Oof. It's old. Alright, we're caught on something. Let me get my light. Looks just like a, there it goes. Oh. We're not stuck on anything, it's just the seal is so bad that it's pulling that hard. Oh yeah, what a winner. Alright. That's quality right there. Good thing is it isn't like a cork one, so you know it's been replaced before. Alright, so I took off the fuel pump and the oil pressure sender. I did a little closer inspection. I still can't figure out why this thing isn't moving. So I'm going to take off the oil pump here, the pickup tube here, and then the return tube. And then we're going to take off the caps of the where the bearings are on the pistons, these end caps. Kind of tip it up, pop out the pistons, and then take a look at the bearings. We want to make sure that when we do it, I have a separate towel over here. We're going to make sure that we keep all the pistons with their matching bearings because they've worn a certain way. So we want to make sure that they stay together. I know we're not using it. I know I keep saying that, but you know, it's just good practice. And for those of you that are going to end up reusing it, it's good to keep it together, especially if you're not going to replace the bearings and the bearings are good. So I'm going to fast forward through this for you because just unbolting stuff. So that's the game plan. Take out the oil pieces, the accessories, pop out the pistons, and let's take a look from there. Alright, so you saw me trying to get these pistons out. I'm afraid of using too much force and really damaging these cylinders. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to uncap here and get the whole crankshaft out. I can get it to move, which is progress, but it's because the caps are off. So if I can get that to move, I can just get the crankshaft straight out. I'll have better leverage to get those pistons out. But these on the bottom here, I think are 17s. Feels right. Just to note, on the 16, how odd. Normally 17, 13, 10 are your friends, but it's okay, that's why we've got more. Another note, probably a good thing to do is when you take off the caps, keep them in the same orientation and order as you bring them out. Like I said, that wear pattern is really important on the bottoms where the crankshaft meets the bearing, because it's worn into that for so long, and you don't want to do more damage. So just make sure you keep them the same orientation. The tops go to the top, bottoms are on bottom, and keep it in the same order. This is from number 1, so see, I've got it in the same orientation that it was in the car. But you can see the bearing, it's got some rub in the middle and a line. But I can't feel it with my nail. So if you can't catch it with your nail, then it's not too bad. So anyway, just as an example. Well, let's take these off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tip it a little forward, and maybe it'll come out. It's not going to be able to come straight out because it sits around here. So if I take these bolts out, look like 10s, and then it should slide right out. I always want to make sure that I always look at my threads. It's a good sign of wear as I bring them out. You can kind of see, I don't know if it shows on the camera, but like this middle one's a little longer. So to make sure you're putting the right screws, the right bolts in the right spot. So see, there's another long one. So that means that these two corners have the long ones. Another short one. Okay, so we'll set these over here. Because as soon as we take this off, I'll set it to the side. Like that. And we can look at the seal. And that seal is really clean. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't too far off with my guess on that. Alright. So now this crankshaft should come straight out. Alright. And there you go. So there's our crankshaft. So this has got rings on the top here, just like an engine, or the pistons do. And I see that the bearings for the top here were stuck in on the crankshaft. So that's why I kind of didn't just toss it to the side right away. So before I get these crossed, there's a mark on them. It's kind of raised here. and you'll see it inside the crankshaft where it lines up. I'm just going to stick it in there, because like I said, the orientation is very important to keep the same wear patterns. Alright, so we got the pistons out. A couple of the bearings fell out, but I made sure to keep them in order. So this is number 1, and I think I know why we're freezing up now. When you look here, you can just see the... I mean, you can just see that. Yeah. I mean, the oil ring is stuffed. I mean, there's just... But the thing I do notice, let's move on to number 2 here, is that the blow-by isn't bad. Normal amount, but you just see the grit that's in it. Now that may have came from our power wash, but I mean, just, I don't know. So you can see, like, some of these, the rings move real well. Number 4. Once I popped out number 4, you can see how wet it is. I don't know if just a lot of the water settled in there, but during the power wash, that was one of our up cylinders. So maybe some water stuck in the bottom. I don't know. But all the arms pivot pretty good. They're a little stiff. Only number 1 has a lot of slack in it. So, I don't know. We'll see. We're just going to keep going, and we'll find out what's going on. But so we're going to get the cam out. There's a cap here at the back, and then I put the bolt back in the front, and see if we can get it to kind of work with us. Let me double check that I got everything clear. So it should come straight out. Then we can look at the lifters underneath. So yeah, I think we're okay. We'll just kind of pop it forward a little bit. The cam moves nice. The distributor gear moves really well with it. And the oil pump. Get a little pop on the back here. Maybe I'm missing something. Oh, a bolt. That would kind of do it. There's one right here. Looks like a 13. That's probably it. Yeah, it looks like a locking pin. So now it should just kind of come out. Unless there's another one somewhere that I didn't see. There it goes. Be nice and careful as we pull this out. I'm only giving it just enough force to get it to move. I'm barely using that pry bar there. And make sure we don't ding up the lobes. Nice and easy. All the way out. Alright. So there she is. A little bit of rust spots, maybe some flash rust from our power wash because the water went through some of those valleys. But yeah, so that's out. Nice, and that's real nice. Yeah, it feels good on there. So we'll keep that over here to the side. So now I can lift to the lifters. Look at the lifters. Let me pull number one. Might have to come to the top to get it out. Alright, so here's number one. Look at the bottom here. So yeah, so you don't see any big scarring, any big gouging. Nice mirror finish still. That's good. So just like you do with the pistons and the bearings and everything, you're going to keep these in order the same way. So it's going to go, that's why I have the crankshaft in the same position, the camshaft in the same position, and so all these, I'm going to pop them all out, and then will be all set. Got distracted with this, here it is. So yeah, the oil pump seal is bad for sure. And I just highly recommend getting a whole new oil, or a whole new seal kit. Don't even bother with trying to save any of the gaskets and things. Try and find the factory correct gaskets. I only use the make your own gasket material in like corners and things that are, or high traffic areas that I don't really trust the factory gasket to really make it last. I really like the, the blue rubber, stuff like that. So anyway, we can get them to talk about the best kind of gaskets all day. Let me know which ones you guys like. What kind of gasket material? Do you guys make your own? Do you just go with the factory OEM? What do you guys work with? Let me know in the comments on the bottom there. So I'm going to whip through these real quick, fast forward through this, and then I'll bring you all around and we can do a good walk around of this. Alright, so we've got the cylinders wiped down real quick with a rag, and we're all empty here. Hopefully I'll bring in my flashlight and won't flood you guys out. But you can see what we're looking at. Doesn't look too bad. I mean, just needs to be cleaned out, which is to be expected with something of this age. But we can look into the cylinder, so let's go to number one, and we can kind of see why we're getting stuck, especially number two here. I mean, just, you can see the orange of the rust in the cylinder. The, number 2 and 3 were all the way down, so you can see all that on there. So that's why we weren't moving anywhere. Number 1 was all the way up, and you can see it's at the very, maybe not in the camera, but at the very top there's the outer edge. It's got that rust too. So the good news is I don't see any pitting, like deep pitting. So if we can hone the cylinders, two different kinds of grit, start with a little rougher then go to a finer grit, we can hone the cylinders, and that could possibly save this block. Get you all set up here again real quick. Right where you were, there you go. So we can possibly save this. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think we can save it? I mean, is it salvageable? Do you think we should save it? Everything else looks good. It's just this. I don't know if honing is gonna save it, or maybe we'll have to take it to a shop and get it machined. But there's no deep pits. Nothing that really suggests heavy damage. Because the rest of the cylinder, I mean, as I wipe, you can feel it's smooth. So, you know what? I think maybe we'll hone these cylinders. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to work, and we have to get it machined, right? So, I think that's definitely worth a shot. Some of these are real gunked up. So, but definitely needs to be cleaned. Water wheel the sides. on these top surfaces, you don't want to use any sharp tools, especially like a flathead screwdriver, because this is cast iron. You can't really weld on it, so if you score it, you have to get the head shaved down to be level again. As I look into these coolant channels, I mean, it's dirty. She's dirty. But their coolant can get by, but you can definitely see where it just kind of ate away at the system there. So, yeah, these definitely got to get cleaned out again. So, if you get to this point, this is kind of where you make your decision. Do you want to get a machine? Do you just want to hone it? In this situation, I'd probably just hone it and then take a look to see what it looks like after the honing, and then go from there on a decision. The coolant channels are corroded. I mean, you can see it in there, but it's not eating through the cylinder walls, so it's not as dangerous as it could be by any means. A lot of it just needs to be broken up. I mean, it's still orange in there. Just got to be broken up. Especially now that it's off, we can get it all cleared out and out straight out the bottom rather than circulating through the oil pan and through all these parts. But anyway, that's how you take it apart. We are down to just a bare block. Definitely would wire wheel it and clean it. At least on the outside. You could get a machine on the top, machine the cylinders, get it nice and clean. Definitely get new gaskets every time. Some people may tell you otherwise, but I say get new gaskets. You have that insurance of fresh gaskets and not having to worry about oil leaks out of this baby. So that's going to be the end of this video. Just make sure you comment, like, subscribe, hit the little bell when I do new videos. This is just kind of a sidebar for our electric conversion here, because I know some people really wanted to see this and I've gotten questions about it. So this is all the way broken down, and thanks for watching. Just tune in for the next episode and subscribe and like and comment. You know, keep this active and we'll keep on trucking. See you guys next time.